All commissioners are present, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Everybody get an opportunity to look at the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve? Rusted approved, makes a motion, second by Commissioner Hagan. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Approval of the order of agenda.
I would move on
Commissioner
that
Peach.
motion, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Commissioner Peach makes the motion. Do I have a second? Second by Commissioner Hagan. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Approval of the consent agenda. Bills, employee status changes, overtime, January financial report, Larimore Golf Club beer and liquor license. Anybody want anything pulled? Do I have a motion to approve that? So moved by Commissioner Hagan. Second by Commissioner Peach. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. All right, public safety answering point.
Good afternoon, everybody. Just wanted to provide a little bit of update about what's been going on over in PSAP. Some of you I've worked with for many, many years, and some of you are new faces that I haven't met before. And if anybody ever wants to come over and see PSAP and how we operate, you're more than welcome to come take a peek at our operations. I wanted to just give an update briefly on some stats. We do an annual report every year. We're waiting on a few things, financial aspects, before we roll out a full annual report, but I wanted to provide some stats, go through our recruitment and hiring that we've been doing, training changes that we've done, and a staffing solution to kind of fill the gaps, because everybody's been having workforce challenges, but in our industry, that's something we have to make sure we always have somebody there. This slide just shows the calls for service broken down by agency per quarter. And it's pretty average, anywhere around 25 to 26,000. We did go up again this year to 111,000. And if you look on the next slide, it shows how we've grown over the past few years, that we continue to grow at anywhere from 3 to 5% per year. So that's been our average for about the last 10 years. And we don't see that changing as our responders that we serve continue to see their need for us as well change and grow. As far as recruitment, hiring, and training, over the past couple of years, everybody's seen some challenges in the workforce. Last year, we did some changes. We did some job fairs and some advertising, and we got some really good prospects out of that. From there, we've hired 6 in the last 6 months. That doesn't sound like a lot. However, our training program is 6 months long. So we do have to adjust to make sure that our training staff is has the time to take care of that as well. Also in our hiring process, what we've done is the FAST app process. Instead of taking a couple months for training or applying and going through the backgrounds, we did an interview and testing, and also meet and greet in the center, which allowed the candidates to come in and kind of get a bird's eye view of what PSAP is like and what their profession is going to be like. And that was very successful. The training process as well, we split it into 2 phases to allow them to build their skills in the call taking role and then the dispatcher side. So they're able to build as a call taker, get out, work a couple of weeks there, and then go back into training for the radio side of it, working with our responders. And that has also been successful. We've had positive feedback from the trainees who have made it through. The next slide shows our performance. And we have a company, which we'll be talking about next, Motivations, that does our reviews. And what Motivations does is they listen to a certain number of calls that we take to make sure the call taker is gathering the information needed for the responders, which is set by national standards, but then that it's also being put in the calls. So as you can see there, we've been doing this for about 5 years now, and we've remained at 95%. And even though we're short-staffed, our staff is really strong. I mean, they're 99% back in December. So it shows that we do have some really solid, skilled staff on our hands that are training our new prospects. But speaking of staff, we've all seen the workforce challenges in our industries, and PSAP is no stranger to that. Kind of like nurses on the front line, dispatchers are on the front line in public safety. And so COVID, it was quite a stressful time for everybody. And so we saw a lot of changes with our staff as well. And with that, there's a company called Motivations. They did our training and QAs, but in 2019, she thought, you know, there's traveling nurses. What about traveling dispatchers? You know, it's new to our industry, but not new to the world. And so COVID hit, so that kind of put a damper on that perspective. But then she started it up this last year, and we were the third company that came on board with her. And we went through the approval process through our board. And because it is our mission to be there for everybody, first to serve for our responders and the citizens as they need it, we needed to be full staff where we're at in order to provide that service. So we're working for 22 staff right now, and we are at 11 full-time, 1 graded, and then 4 part-time. So we do have a gap in there. And what Motivations is going to do is help us fill that gap. You can go to the next slide. And when we looked at how many people we wanted, instead of hiring like number of staff, we looked at hiring as so it was more like a power shift to fill our peak time, 12-hour period, like from 11 to 11. That's really where we are the busiest. Many people may think, oh my gosh, you're probably busiest on nights. It's 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. is our peak time. Phone call volume, radios, that's when the responders are the busiest in the field too. So that's what we looked at, is having one person for Motivations on duty every day with us for 12 hours. Can go to the next. As far as the financial aspect, the funds are going to come from our budget, and it's going to be able to be absorbed due to our low staffing numbers. We are contracting with them for 6 months. After that, it's a month-by-month basis, but 6 months is going to give us the time that we need to train our staff. And at that point, we'll have enough adequate staff on hand. There'll be less pressure on our staff moving forward. As we talk with Mo, her name is Mo from Motivations, she said, you know, it's kind of unique that we're going into business to not be in business. Like, she's here to serve a purpose so that we can get fully staffed and we don't need her any longer. So that really is our goal. And the proposal in terms is there's several different phases. There's the launching phase. That's where her staff is training on our equipment. They're learning our policies and procedures, and then be able to come on board and work fully as they are. 7%, if anything, is prepaid each month. So there is that financial bonus as well. And then we'll make adjustments month by month as necessary for any overages that are prepaid. This just kind of goes into our current staffing levels and then the prospects into July. So by July, with all of our people that we have training right now, we'll be 17 out of 22. So that's where we're at. And at that level, we should be able to absorb the overtime and still be able to train successfully without having the extra burden on staff. Our staff, some people have asked, how's your staff feel about having the traveling dispatchers come in? They're fully on board. Our trainers, team leaders, and everybody helped with the phase, providing the training and everybody. It's giving them the reprieve from overtime, and it's also reducing their burnout. We have a great team right now, and they are all in. And then that just talks about some of the improvements to the training and recruitment that we've done as well. As far as the requirements, every PSAP operates differently. So when we did this proposal, they have to meet our requirements and our certifications. So in order to come on board, they have to be certified in basic dispatch, be able to provide emergency medical pre-arrivals instructions for like CPR, AED, those kind of certifications, and those are national standards. So it's not anything they wouldn't know. The biggest thing that they had to learn was maybe some of the regional aspects. Like we have an air base, we have UND campus, we have a state right across the river. So how do we dispatch with those little things? And they're first going to fulfill a role as a call taker and then migrate onto dispatching on the radio. Call taking is very standard. We're gathering the same information. It really is a software based. How do we do that? What does it look like? And then migrate into communicating with our responders on the radio. Again, some of that is very similar, but when you get into the safety of the responders out there, we want to make sure that they are comfortable as well before we migrate them over. Our first staff came on board from Dispatch on Demand February 1st, and they completed their first tour successfully. The first day here, they do orientation hands-on with 4 hours, and then they shadow for 6. And then the next day they're working on shift. And I have to say it was very successful. So it's happy to see that this is a new venture in our profession, but it was successful so far. So we're looking forward to working with them and continuing that and kind of being a pioneer in our field for that. So that's kind of where PSAP is at as far as staffing. We have equipment stuff, but that's a whole nother PowerPoint that I can do another date. So does anybody have questions on this? I've been working with Cindy on this, so she's fully aware, and Angie's in the room as well, so. No? Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're not talking about this. All right, county planner.
HA, you want me to write it? Sure.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, I have one item today. It is special use permit for a substation for Xcel Energy. I provided you with staff report prior to the meeting on your desk there. The property is located in section 7 of our Villa Township. It consists of a 4.7 acre parcel of land which is currently vacant. Pfeiffer's currently the owner of the property. Xcel would be purchasing it contingent on approval of the permit. It's located at the intersection of County Road 4A and 4. City of Larimore is located 3/4 of a mile to the west for reference. Otherwise, surrounding land uses consist of rural residences and agricultural lands. According to land use plans within our agricultural area, the special use permit request does conform to the goals and policies of the land use plans. Under our zoning ordinance that's located within our agricultural preservation district, the substation is listed as a special use in this district, thus they're going through the process here today. As far as the background, they're proposing a new substation as shown on this attached site plan to serve the city of Larimore to replace the existing substation that's in town. Would access County Road 4A on the east side of the property. Attached is also an operations letter which goes into more detail on the project. Our Villa Township did recommend approval with no comments. As far as the highway department recommendations, I did work with Mr. West, the county engineer, on the access location to 4A. Who chose that to avoid damage to the paved recreational path between City of Larimore and the Larimore Dam recreational area. And 4A also has less traffic on it. County engineer also requested that a culvert be installed in the access with a minimum diameter of 18 inches. As far as staff comments, all the setback and performance standards for that zoning district are being met.
Staff has no other concerns with the request, and the planning commission did recommend approval at their February 14th meeting. I just have to answer any questions.
Anybody? Do I have a motion to approve? So moved by Commissioner Rusted,
I'll
second
second
by
that
Commissioner Peach. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried.
Thank you.
Highway engineer, Mr. West.
Good afternoon, Chairman Ross, members of the board. A couple items for consideration today. Dealing back to our Gilby shed again. Talked about this a few times, but have the deeds ready for consideration. One deed would be, the first one would be for the additional half acre of property to the west and to the north of our shed. Seller has signed the deed, and I believe at last meeting we did approve the payment for that, which works out nice because that was submitted and approved in the consent agenda for payment. So, and then the second deed for consideration would be is when we were going through this process, we realized that we do not own the property on the building. Gilby Township owns it. So I talked to Gilby Township guys and they would happily just sign it over to us, but then at least it's ours. They had no clue that they owned it. The township did. We're not aware of that. And so if the board would approve signing the deed here today, then I would bring it to their annual meeting in March for their approval, and then we'll file it.
Any questions? We have a motion to approve. Commissioner Hagan, second. Second by Commissioner Rusted. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion is carried.
Thank you. That is all I have.
Mr. West, you have the deeds.
I do. I have the original here. So. Nice to have just one side. And then as far as the whole Alpha Guard implement potential, see where that goes, but the appraisal's been ordered. We'll wait for that to come back. So, and then we did talk about the Gilby shed at the earlier meeting today. Cost share on that, so we'll see where it all goes. I don't know where everything goes and how things will pan out, but working toward it. And of course, if we don't rehabilitate the Gilby shed, I'll stand in front of you with a different recommendation or cancel it all together, or who knows what. I don't know. So we'll just see where things go, but just lining up to get everything done and get going on it. So
All right. Thank you, Mr. West.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Director of Administration.
Thanks, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. The first thing is, I believe Brad Durkin from Grand Sky Development Company is on Zoom. He's looking to address the commission pertaining to an award package for taxiway extension, roadway extension, and utility expansion. Brad, are you still on?
Yeah, I'm actually on the phone. I'm not on Zoom itself.
The floor is yours, Brad.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, commissioners. Grand Sky is in the mode of growing, as we have heard from last fall's events, and we are in need of extending access to the runway. So we are requesting design dollars to extend the taxiway off of our existing apron. A taxiway would be approximately 2,200 feet long, going west through the property. In addition to that, stormwater management around through under the taxiway is necessary as well. Additional roadways, sewer lines, water lines, fire water lines, all those things that are in support of the continued growth out there is under this particular design package. We notified and advertised for 4 weeks in the Herald legal section, and received 2 proposals. And we are suggesting that we award the design to the Widset team, and the budget amount that we're requesting is $600,000. We have that money available in our 2021 allocation from the state. And if there are any questions for this particular project, please let me know now, and I will answer as I can.
Questions, anybody?
I do have a question. Mr. Durkin, what kind of timeline are you looking at for this project from start to finish?
The design portion of this project, we are targeting to be done with the design and have construction packages ready by the end of June.
Okay. And what are you looking as once a construction company is chosen, when are you hoping that this project would be finalized?
So this is going to be probably a 2-year execution. Once the construction packages are bid, the state has been requested, or Grand Sky requested dollars in the 2023 budget to actually execute the construction associated with this design. But the intent would be to start the taxiway this fall, get some dirt work done this fall, and then really go after it in the spring next year. Some of the planning cycle right now is we're looking to have some buildings built out there by the late fall of next year, hopefully.
Thank you very much.
Can we, this is from the funds that are set aside for Grand Sky, right? Can we
That's correct.
approve this without having it be an agenda item?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Ingen, you have in the past. This is a request that came in after the agenda was posted. I told Brad we'd get him on the agenda, and then I forgot to remind you. So it has been done that way in the past, but I'll defer to Ms. Longstead.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, I don't believe it, because this is a regularly scheduled meeting, it can be addressed even though it's not specifically on the agenda. If this were a special meeting, the rules would require it to be specifically noticed as an action item for the board. So it would be up to the board if you wish to address it today, or if you wanted to review any of the documentation.
Take care of it today. Yeah, I agree with you taking care of it. I would like to see documents as often as we can, because even though it's money that's set aside, we know they're good stewards of those funds. As a matter of public record, we probably should have those going forward if we possibly can, even if it's a summary or just a couple pages or whatever. So anyway,
And maybe we can even get them after the fact.
well, that's okay.
Yeah, no problem.
Going forward.
Okay, all right. Do I have a,
So
anybody?
can I interrupt real quick?
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Durkin.
I'm sorry, there was a secondary item as well on the request. And there, I think Mr. Ford has a summary of the requested items that he could share with you in the future, or tonight even, I believe. But on that summary, I had a second request beyond the design services associated with the taxiway extension. On that request, I also was looking for approval to provide NODAC aid in construction for 2 different power infrastructure projects. One is to tie Grand Sky to the bases electrical system, which is off a different substation than what Grand Sky is on, and would provide basically a backup power for Grand Sky in the future. And then the remainder of that request is for additional infrastructure backbone for the electrical system to support the extension of the taxiway and road extensions that we're planning on the design. That request is for $100,000 that would be given to NODAC to do these two projects. And we also have dollars available under the 2021 state allocated funds to accomplish that. And if there are any questions associated with that, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions from anybody? Okay, let's deal with the runway extension first. Do I have a motion to approve?
Mr. Chair, I would move approval of the design services getting funded for the runway extension.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Egan. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion is carried. Number two is the electrical station for $100,000 from NODAC. Do I have a motion to approve that? Commissioner Hagan moves. Do I have a second? Second by Commissioner Beach. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion is carried. Thank you, Mr. Durkin.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, the other thing worth noting on these two projects is they do provide some installation redundancy to Grand Forks Air Force Base, which that's a positive when looking at new missions in Iraq. So
Sure.
the next thing I have, Mr. Chair, is the construction manager at risk. You had a memo in your packets. I'll be asking the commission to approve a CMAR selection committee. The purpose of this committee, and it is required by Century Code, is to work with staff to create a request for qualifications, looking for qualified firms to act as the construction manager at risk. Those RFQs will go out in the Grand Forks Herald once drafted. And then it's this committee's duty to bring a recommendation after receiving all the bids to the full commission for recommendation. So essentially, they would be much like construction engineers in the correctional center project, looking to get a selection committee for CMAR for the courthouse dome project. Staff recommends Commissioner Rusted as the county representative, Tom Wesley as the registered architect, Nick West as the registered engineer, Mike Bassick of Bassick Construction as the licensed contractor, Scott Johnson, the court administrator, Sheriff Schneider, and Mr. Grashevsky.
Great.
Can answer any questions.
Questions? Mr. Egan?
Have all the people agreed to be on the committee?
No one has said no, Commissioner Egan. I have not heard no.
That's quite the same question. That's fine.
They've been notified.
There's an answer yet.
Chairman Ross, members of the commission, I did not say no. I did review the documentation that was provided by Mr. Ford and looked into it. My first question was what qualifies me to be involved in engineering side of it for the courthouse, I believe it is. And, reading through the documentation, I believe it said that there must be at least four on the committee. Your committee of 5, I think 7's a little excessive. If you'd like to dwindle it down to 5, I'd be more than happy to step down. That's all I got.
My rationale, and thanks to the sheriff, my rationale was where the whole project is about a security station for the deputy. I thought I should at least extend the sheriff the courtesy.
Yeah.
To be involved, so. Yes, the secure, did I say the dome? I'm sorry, I apologize. This is not for the courthouse dome. This is the courthouse security improvement grant to bolster the security entrance at the front of the courthouse. I've got too many projects rolling around my head right now.
You were looking at my head.
So this is for the security upgrades at the deputy station in the courthouse.
Okay, Any questions from anybody?
Well, question for the sheriff. I assume you would be willing to be a consultant to the committee, since it's your baby over
The
there.
dome did throw me for a loop,
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah,
yeah, the security desk makes more
You'll
sense.
stay on this-
What's that?
You'll stay on the committee now
I
then?
mean, I'm willing to stay on it, but I do think 7 is a lot.
Mr. Chair, the state's attorney is pointing out that I am mixing up two different projects. So this is for the courthouse dome. This is not for the security desk, and I can understand why the sheriff is perturbed as to why he was asked to sit in on this.
Yeah, it is the dome, yes.
This is for the dome.
Yes.
This would be to act as the construction manager at risk for the dome rehabilitation project. My apologies to the commission.
yeah. All right, now that we have that straight, do I have a motion to approve this risk manager and the group of 7?
I'll make a motion,
Okay,
but it's to include the group that's listed, except for the sheriff, who I don't believe wants to be on the committee.
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
It's up to you.
Delegated at 90% of communication is nonverbal. 7 versus the
Yeah.
6.
yes or no?
I don't think I'm qualified to tell people how to build a dome. I'll keep security when they're going up and down the halls.
So that's my motion, that he doesn't.
Okay,
It can be deleted
okay.
from the list if he wants.
Manager at risk with 6 on the committee. Okay, second by Commissioner Beach. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried.
Again, my apologies to the commission. Wow. Not enough coffee, not enough sleep. I don't know. The last thing I have is, I'll be at myself and then Ms. Leon, we'll be out at the Association of Defense Communities Annual Summit, March 6th, 7th, and 8th. And while we're out there, we'll be meeting with the Secretary of the Air Force Installations and Environments. We'll be meeting with the Office of the Secretary of Defense. And we will be meeting with the Office of Undersecretary of Defense for Procurement. So we got, and then, and the Office for Local Development, Community Cooperation. So we got a lot of meetings while we're out there. Talk about Grand Sky, the Defense Community Infrastructure Project, and the potential for a P4 fire station. So we'll be busy while we're out there, but we'll bring a detailed report back to the commission.
Thank you. Is that it?
That's all I have.
Okay,
I hope.
state's attorney.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, I have one item for the board's consideration. In the packet was a document for the board's review pertaining to the opioid litigation that the county is involved in. If you recall, sometime last year, we entered into a settlement agreement with the 3 major distributors and the Janssen distributor. This is an additional settlement agreement that would be in addition to the funds we've already received and will receive for that prior settlement. This is with the parties Teva, Allergan, CVS, Walgreens, and Walmart. And it's very similar to the prior settlement agreement that we have entered into. Just for comparison purposes, the prior settlement agreement with the other distributors was for a total of $21 billion nationwide. This settlement is $18.52 billion nationwide. And the settlements will be paid over anywhere from 6 to 15 years. Each party settlement is a little bit different. I have reviewed the documents as well as conferred with the county's counsel on the litigation. And it is their recommendation that we participate in these settlements, and it's my recommendation as well. The funds we will receive if we choose to agree to this settlement would have similar conditions to the prior settlement, which is that significant portion, anywhere from 85 to 95% of the funds must be used for opioid remediation efforts. And so The commission, you can take action on this today. Where it doesn't need to happen today, the deadline for us to accept this is April 18th of 2023. Specifically, how much we would receive in each of these settlements is unable to be determined right now because it's dependent upon how many states and political subdivisions join in the settlement. So just like the prior settlement, it's very difficult to guesstimate exactly what we would be receiving, but after that deadline, they will likely give us a more specific number.
Okay, questions? Anybody? Great. Do I have a motion then to approve the opiate litigation settlement agreement? So moved by Commissioner Hagan, second by Commissioner Peach. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Committee reports. Mr. Rustin.
They're starting bridges. It's pretty much we expect Marysville intercity. We'll just keep marching on. Imagine we'll get a bridge built any day now.
Good. Megan.
I don't have much more other than one of my meetings got rescheduled because of weather, but library's doing great. They got $15,000 so far since last time we talked for their van that they're trying to get out for. Other than that, that's all I got.
Okay. Commissioner Peach.
The social services zone board met this afternoon, talked about the number of cases and things that are going on. The new transition with the statewide phone system took place on the 13th of February. There were some issues with some telephone transfers, things like that. I believe that some staff had trouble getting information on their own portal about answering calls. So that's been addressed as well. Talked a little, Mr. Pickett talked about various pieces of legislation that are going through our state legislature. Some of them probably were good. Some of them are a little questionable when it comes to some bills dealing with children and what the parent has the right of as far as disciplining children. One piece of legislation is that a parent owns the child and can do what they choose in disciplining that child, and that has passed at one house and is going to another house. There is also a piece of legislation dealing with if a child doesn't feel that they are the right sex, that there is some therapy that a parent can offer, and the parent has the right to do whatever type of therapy is necessary to avert that potential feeling of being raised as another sex. Also, they talked about the library issues, that is books that are in the library, that a librarian would be penalized for that. It was some, and it's the thought process is those pieces of legislation may go through the other house as well. So some things I think are going to end up in some court situations if the therapy becomes a little too strong for a child and the child dies. There is a law that we are not to murder individuals in the state, but if that particular law is enacted, I guess that would become a court situation to determine which law that our judiciary system will side with. So some things I think that are a little surprised for our public, that have voted legislators into session. Other than that, I don't think we had a lot to report. Some good discussion took place. The Airport Authority Board meets on Thursday morning and things seem to be going well. The numbers of individuals that are using the Grand Forks Airport are up. It's nice to see that there are quite a few Manitoba plates that are in the parking lot. Income is up, the restaurant income is up, car rental usage is up. So that's a good thing to see that more people are traveling than we've seen in the past few years because of COVID. So that's a positive. I think that's all I have to report. Are there any questions? Thank you.
My only meeting was the Grand Forks Region Economic Development. And we have board meeting. I'm on the board of that organization. We have board meetings every month, but 4 times a year, the meetings include advisors, which are other business people who may end up working with the EDC, or maybe their company is members of EDC and so on. And EDC uses that to get input from all people across the business sector with other ideas. So that's always a fairly informative meeting, but that's the only thing I was involved in the last couple of weeks.
Okay, thank you. We had a planning and zoning meeting this week, and we just acted on.
Yeah.
Commissioner Rusted and myself had that, and so that we acted on that. We had a public safety and infrastructure meeting today to approve capital improvements. I think you all have the sheet here. Ones listed were like for $530,000. Public safety and infrastructure approved all that, but it takes the full commission and a full county board meeting to approve those capital improvements. So if there aren't any questions, I would look for a motion to approve the capital improvements for, is it for 2023 or 2023?
I'll make that motion for $530,000 as laid out on the corrected sheet that Ms. Nelson presented to us just before this meeting after making some corrections from the committee meeting.
Okay. Do I have a second? Commissioner Peach makes a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. One other thing, there is a administrative services meeting which will be held at 3 o'clock on March 7th. Which at that time we will be dealing with snow removal. Whether we are going to enter that venture on our own, or if we are going to contract it out. Plus the personnel issue that we may have to hire a person if we take on that endeavor to carry on with that snow removal. So other than that, that is all I had. The unfinished new business. Correspondence. No. I have a motion to adjourn. Hagan makes a motion to a second. Second, Commissioner Rusted. All those in favor?
Aye.
Sure.
Yeah.